So our boy Charles Leclerc decides that he is worth more money than you ever thought possible. Now, we have a history in Formula One when guys win something big, they get a huge cash flow coming in. Michael Schumacher, when he was winning all those times with Ferrari, he got those $60 million deals. And that was back in, the early 2000s. So that was warranted. But Charles Leclerc, a guy who has 5 Grand Prix wins, a guy who puts the car in the wall when he's leading the French Grand Prix, a guy who gets depressed and anxious when his car and his team can't make the right decisions. This guy is not a $60 million driver yet. Okay, he could be, but where the car is and where he is on the grid, you have to use leverage as a business person, okay? What does Leclerc have? He doesn't have a seat at Mercedes. Lewis is probably going to sign a minimum, I'm going to say a 3-year contract with Mercedes. I think he'll probably sign at the minimum a 3-year contract with Mercedes. George Russell is a good team guy. He's putting in the points. He might be right behind Lewis right now, but I think that car at Mercedes is more adjusted to Lewis right now. Leclerc has a seat at Ferrari. He's going to say, after this contract's up in 2025, I'm going to expect $60 million a year. Now, that could be put on pressure because Ferrari hasn't been doing well, and their only saving grace right now is Leclerc. But he can't even warrant this because half the time he's behind Carlos Sainz in the championship points. All last season he was behind Carlos Sainz. I think he might be behind him right now because maybe that third place in Spa changed it, but he's not outperforming a clear number 2 driver, inferior driver. And he thinks that he can just do this because, people still consider me one of the best. People mostly consider Max, Charles, Lando, Lewis to be the best drivers in Formula One. And because of that, I can ask for this money. I'd say, fuck no at Ferrari. I said, what have you done? You've won no race this season, okay? You're never consistently there. I should be able to pay you what I'm paying you now, which is what, $12 million a season? I should be able to maybe up it a little bit more. What are you going to go to a shitty team that you have no chance at winning a championship? The only thing that would change that is if Red Bull really wants him. And trust me, $60 million is not going to change his mind. This kid is a rich kid from Monaco who already has been making $12 million a year. On top of it, with all the sponsorships, all the advertisements he already does. Okay, he doesn't need the money. So if he wants to win championship, and I think he's genuinely one of those guys who's not a Ricardo. He wants to be a winning driver. He sees himself at the level of Max Verstappen, and he doesn't get the credit for it. Yeah, being part of Ferrari is this great thing, but when people are constantly seeing you not even on the podium, they don't see you as an equal, they don't see you as the great driver everyone talked about you being, that's a big problem. And if Red Bull offers him the seat, he will jump at the chance. They'll still probably end up paying him a decent wage. I know a decent wage by what we're doing in the real world compared to these guys, but I'd say at a minimum they'd be paying that guy $15-16 million to come over to Red Bull. And at the end of that, if it doesn't work out, he can go to another team and just cash out. So this guy really shouldn't be asking for $60 million. I wouldn't put up with it if I was Ferrari. You're not going to make what Michael made back in the day. You don't have any championship to your name. You have 5 race wins, okay? We've helped you. We've done everything we can. We're trying to rebuild the team. We're trying to get resources. We're going to use that money to actually building a championship winning team, a car that can actually win on the grid. Why would we give it all to you? And he thinks he has the huge hand here. And so many of these guys in Formula One think they have this big hand. Trust me, if you're not at one of these top teams, nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody's going to pay you monster wages. Maybe one of the teams will make you a journeyman driver like a Bottas or whatever, but that's the extent of what's going to be. And you're going to be behind guys who are 21, 22 coming out of F2, kicking your ass in better cars and midfield team cars. So I wouldn't put up with it. Ferrari definitely shouldn't put up with it. And if he's not offered that seat, because it seems like the Red Bull seat, they're more keen on hiring Lando Norris. They think he's more consistent, a more talented driver, and he meshes way together better with Max Verstappen because they're actually close friends. They'll probably pick him over you. And then what do you got left? You got Ferrari, because Mercedes ain't taking your ass, and that's all you got. And what do you got? Aston Martin back there, they ain't challenged for a championship anytime soon. Not with Alpine. What would you go to McLaren if Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri stay there? maybe that would be your hope to get to Red Bull, but that's about it. So this guy should not be acting cocky. For what he's put in, he has not put in the results or has maintained the consistency of beating a number 2 driver next to him on a consistent basis. If you disagree with me, let me know, because you'd be dead wrong, but I'd love to hear it. Also, subscribe and like the video. Thank you very much.